Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Life at home was never simple for me. Since my little sister passed away when she was only 3, things had been especially tough. But the hardest part was seeing my mom struggle with her memory. Dementia had taken a toll on her, and oddly, she could only recall my sister, not me, her son. Every day was like walking through a maze of confusion for Mom. She often talked about my sister as if she were still with us, her eyes lighting up at the memory of her little girl. For me, it was different. Whenever I entered the room, she'd look at me with a puzzled expression, sometimes asking, "Are you the new caretaker?" It stung, but I knew it wasn't her fault. I tried showing her our family photos, hoping to jog her memory, but they only seemed to confuse her more. All she saw was her daughter, not the son standing right beside her. It was as if I had become invisible in my own home, a ghost wandering through the halls of forgotten memories. One evening, as I sat in my room, a thought struck me. What if I could become visible to her again? What if I could be the daughter she remembered so fondly? The idea was strange, maybe even a little crazy, but I was desperate for any connection with my mom. I started researching online, carefully picking out clothes that I thought my sister might have worn if she were my age now. A soft pink sweater, a pair of jeans, and some simple flats. I hesitated at the checkout screen, my heart pounding. Was I really going to do this? After a deep breath, I clicked the purchase button. A few days later, the package arrived. I locked my door, my hands trembling as I unfolded the clothes. They were just pieces of fabric, but to me, they felt like pieces of a puzzle I was trying to solve. Slowly, I changed out of my usual clothes and into the outfit I had chosen. The fabric felt foreign against my skin, but also surprisingly comfortable. Next came the makeup. I had watched some tutorials online, but trying it myself was a whole different story. My first attempts were clumsy, and I had to wipe it off and start again several times. But gradually, I started getting the hang of it. A bit of foundation here, a touch of mascara there. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Shaving was another challenge. I had never thought much about the hair on my legs or arms before, but now it seemed so out of place. Carefully, I ran the razor over my skin, watching as it left smooth trails behind. It was a strange sensation, but also oddly satisfying. Finally, I stood in front of the mirror, hardly recognizing the person staring back at me. My hair was neatly combed, a bit of blush highlighting my cheeks. For a moment, I just stood there, taking it all in. I wasn't Noah anymore. I was someone else, someone my mom might recognize. But taking that step outside my room was harder than I thought. What if Mom didn't recognize me? What if she thought I was a stranger? These thoughts swirled in my head, but the longing to connect with her pushed me forward. I walked into the living room, my heart racing. My mom was sitting in her usual chair, knitting something that looked like a scarf. She looked up, and for a moment, there was silence. I held my breath, waiting. Then her face lit up with a smile I hadn't seen in such a long time. "Oh, there you are," she exclaimed. "I was wondering where my little girl had gone." Hearing her call me her little girl sent a wave of emotions through me. I was happy, confused, and a bit scared all at the same time. But above all, I was relieved. Relieved to see her smile, to see that spark of recognition in her eyes. We spent the afternoon together, just like old times. She showed me the scarf she was knitting, explaining how it was going to be a present for her daughter's birthday. It felt surreal, sitting there, talking about myself as if I were someone else. But seeing the joy in my mom's eyes made it worth it. As the day went on, I found myself getting more comfortable in this new role. The clothes, the makeup, the way I talked, it all started to feel more natural. I even caught myself laughing genuinely at one of Mom's stories, a story I had heard 100 times before, but never as her daughter. When it was time to go to bed, I quietly went back to my room and changed into my regular clothes. Looking in the mirror again, I saw Noah staring back at me. But something was different. I touched my face, feeling the smoothness where the makeup had been. The experience had changed something in me, though I wasn't quite sure what it was. The next day, I was going to dress as a girl again, to be the daughter my mom remembered. After breakfast, I went back to my room and opened the drawer where I had kept the clothes. The pink sweater, the jeans, the flats, they were all there, just as I had left them. I got dressed slowly, paying attention to every detail. The sweater was soft against my skin, and the jeans fit just right. I slipped into the flats, feeling a bit unsteady at first. Walking in them was different from my usual sneakers, but I managed. Then it was time for the makeup. I remembered the steps from the tutorials I had watched. Foundation, blush, mascara. I was getting better at it, my hands more steady than the day before. I even tried adding a little eyeshadow, a subtle shade of pink that matched the sweater. Next came the hair. My hair wasn't very long, but I combed it in a way that made it look a bit more feminine. I looked at myself in the mirror and felt a sense of accomplishment. I was starting to get the hang of this. When I walked into the living room, my mom was there, sipping her morning tea. She looked up and smiled. "Good morning, sweetie," she said, her eyes bright. It was amazing how she transformed when she thought I was her daughter. We spent the morning together, chatting and laughing. I helped her with the knitting, the yarn slipping through my fingers as I tried to follow her instructions. It was a bit tricky, but also kind of fun. In the afternoon, we decided to watch a movie. Mom chose an old comedy, one of her favorites. We sat on the couch, the laughter from the TV filling the room. I looked over at her, seeing her smile and hearing her laugh. It was like we were a normal family again, just for a little while. After the movie, I helped her make dinner. We made spaghetti, her recipe. She guided me through each step, telling me when to stir the sauce and how long to cook the pasta. The kitchen was filled with the smell of tomatoes and herbs, a familiar and comforting scent. As we ate, Mom talked about her memories of my sister. How she loved spaghetti, how she would always ask for seconds. It was strange hearing stories about myself as if I were someone else. But I listened, nodding and smiling, keeping the illusion alive. After dinner, I cleaned up the dishes while Mom went back to her knitting. I watched her for a moment, her fingers moving skillfully over the yarn. She looked peaceful, content, and for a moment I felt content too. That night, as I got ready for bed, I thought about the day. I had spent another whole day as a girl, and it had felt more natural this time. I was getting used to the clothes, the makeup, even the way I spoke and moved. It was strange, but not in a bad way. It was just different, a new way of being that I was exploring. As I changed back into my regular clothes, I found myself missing the softness of the sweater, the lightness of the makeup. The next morning, I went through the routine again, dressing up, doing my makeup, fixing my hair. Each day it felt less like a costume and more like just another way to dress, another way to be. Mom and I spent the day together doing simple things around the house. We dusted the shelves, watered the plants, folded laundry. It was mundane, everyday stuff, but it felt special because we were doing it together. In the afternoon, we took a walk around the neighborhood. It was a bit scary going outside dressed as a girl. What if someone recognized me? But as we walked, nobody gave us a second glance. They just saw a mother and her daughter walking side by side. Walking in the flats had become easier, and I found myself enjoying the rhythm of our steps, the way my clothes moved with me. The sun was warm on my face, and I felt a sense of peace walking there with my mom. Later, we sat in the park, watching kids play on the swings. Mom talked about when my sister and I were little, how we used to play on those same swings. I just listened, nodding and smiling. It was nice hearing her talk about the past, even if it was a past that didn't quite match reality. As we walked back home, Mom held my hand, something she hadn't done in a long time. Her hand was warm in mine, and I squeezed it gently. In that moment, I wasn't Noah or his sister. I was just a child, walking with their mom. That night, as I got ready for bed, I realized that this was becoming my new normal. Dressing as a girl, spending time with my mom, it was all part of my everyday life now. And I was okay with that. More than okay, actually. It was nice, feeling this connection with my mom, feeling like I was part of something again. Days turned into a routine of dressing up, spending time with mom, and feeling more comfortable in my new role. Each morning, I woke up with a purpose, a reason to get out of bed. I would dress in the clothes I had picked out, each piece feeling more familiar than the last. Putting on makeup became a part of my morning ritual. I got better at it, learning which colors looked best and how to make my eyes stand out. It was like painting a picture, but the canvas was my face. Sometimes I would stand in front of the mirror and not even recognize myself, but in a good way. Mom's reactions were the best part of my day. Every time she saw me, her face would light up with happiness. It was like she was seeing her daughter again, and that made all the effort worth it. We would sit and talk or do simple things around the house. It felt normal, comfortable, like this was how things were supposed to be. One day I suggested we bake cookies, something Mom used to do with my sister and me. We found an old recipe in one of her cookbooks and got to work. Mixing the dough, rolling it out, cutting it into shapes. It was messy, but fun. Mom was smiling the whole time, telling me how good I was at baking, just like her daughter. The smell of cookies baking filled the house, a sweet and warm scent that made it feel like a home again. When they were done, we sat at the kitchen table, eating cookies and drinking milk. Mom told me stories about when my sister was little, how she loved to bake and make a mess in the kitchen. It was nice hearing those stories, even if they were a bit sad too. We started going on little trips together, just short walks around the neighborhood or to the nearby park. Mom would hold my hand, talking about the flowers we saw or the birds in the trees. It was peaceful, walking with her, feeling the sun on my face and the breeze in my hair. One afternoon, we went to a small cafe near our house. We sat outside, sipping tea and watching people walk by. Mom was telling me about her favorite teas, how she used to have tea parties with my sister. I listened, nodding and laughing at her stories. It felt good to be there with her, just enjoying the moment. I started paying more attention to the details. I tried different styles of clothes, figuring out what I liked best. I learned how to match colors and how to choose accessories like scarves and bracelets. It was like playing a dress-up game, but in real life. Doing my makeup became my favorite part of the morning. I experimented with different looks, sometimes going for something simple, other times trying something more bold. I discovered the joy of lip gloss and the way it made my lips shine and feel soft. My hair was still short, but I learned to style it in ways that made me look more like a girl. I even thought about growing it out, wondering how I would look with long hair. It was exciting, imagining all the possibilities. Being with Mom was still the best part of my day. We did all sorts of things together, cooking, watching movies, going for walks. She talked to me about her daughter, telling me stories and sharing memories. I just listened, happy to be there with her, happy to be the person she needed me to be. But something was changing. I was starting to feel more like a girl, even when I wasn't with Mom. At first, it was a bit scary, wondering what this meant, but then it became exciting, like I was discovering a secret about myself. I started going out dressed as a girl, even when I wasn't with Mom. I went to the store, to the park, just walking around the neighborhood. People treated me differently, but in a good way. They were kinder, more polite. It was a nice feeling, being seen and treated as a girl. One day I met a girl my age at the park. Her name was Anna, and she was there with her dog. We started talking, and it felt so natural, so easy. She didn't know I was really a boy, and I didn't tell her. It was like I was living in a different world, a world where I was just another girl at the park. Anna and I became friends. We would meet at the park, walk our dogs together, and talk about all sorts of things. She told me about her school, her friends, her dreams. I listened, happy to have a friend, happy to be accepted as one of the girls. At home, I started doing more girl things, like painting my nails and trying on different hairstyles. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw someone new, someone different. It was me, but not the me I used to be. It was a new version of me, a version I was starting to like. I realized that I liked being a girl. I liked the way I looked, the way I felt, the way people treated me. It wasn't just about Mom anymore, it was about me, about who I was and who I wanted to be. But I was also scared. What did this mean for my future? Would I keep living as a girl, or would I go back to being just Noah? I didn't have the answers, and that was okay. I was still figuring things out, one step at a time. I kept spending time with Mom, enjoying our moments together. She was happy, and that made me happy. We had created a little world for ourselves, a world where she had her daughter back and I had my mom. As time passed, my new life as a girl didn't just feel like a role I was playing. It started to feel like a part of who I was. It wasn't just about dressing up for mom anymore. It was about the way I felt when I saw myself in the mirror, the way I felt when I was with Anna, and the way I felt when I was just by myself. One afternoon, while Mom and I were planting flowers in the garden, she looked at me and said, "You know, you remind me so much of her, but you also have your own special sparkle." Her words made me think and a bit shocked. I kept spending time with Anna, and our friendship grew stronger. She was a great friend, someone who made me laugh and think about things in different ways. But I always had that worry in the back of my mind. What if she found out the truth? Would she still be my friend? One day, while we were sitting by the lake feeding the ducks, Anna turned to me and said, "I'm really glad we're friends. You're different from other girls, but in a good way. You're just you." Her words made me feel happy and scared at the same time. Happy because I was glad to be her friend, and scared because I wasn't sure how long I could keep my secret. At home, Mom's moments of clarity were becoming less frequent. Sometimes she would look at me with confusion, not sure who I was. But then she would smile and start talking about her daughter, and everything would be okay again. I realized that this time with Mom was precious. I didn't know how much longer she would be able to remember me, even as her daughter. So I cherished every moment, every smile, every story she shared. Even if she didn't remember me at all, I would still live as a girl forever. I love being a girl. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.